The crystal vase shattered against the wall, inches from my head, sending shards cascading across the marble floor of our mansion's grand foyer. My 18th birthday cake sat untouched on the dining room table behind me, its candles still smoking. "You ungrateful brat, Diana," my stepmother of 6 years screamed. "How dare you say you want to study art instead of business, after everything we've done for you?" I stood my ground, though my hands were trembling. Grandma always supported my art, I thought. "Your grandmother is dead," Diana spat, her eyes flashing. "And thank God for that. She was the only one filling your head with these ridiculous dreams. This family runs Bolton Industries, not some pathetic art gallery." My father stood in the corner, swirling his whiskey in silence. He hadn't said much of anything since marrying Diana, not since Grandma Rose passed away 2 years ago. The father who used to sneak into my room to look at my sketches was gone, replaced by a hollow shadow of a man. "Dad," I pleaded, my voice breaking. "Please. You know this is what I've always wanted." He took another sip of whiskey, avoiding my eyes. Diana stepped closer, her designer heels clicking against the marble floor. "Your father agrees with me. You're 18 now, Emma. Time to grow up and join the real world. Either you accept your place in the company or what?" I asked, my voice sharper than I expected. Her perfectly painted lips curved into a cruel smile. "Or you can leave. Right now. Take your sketches and your childish dreams, and get out of my house." "This isn't your house," I said quietly. "It was Grandma Rose's." "Wrong." Diana laughed coldly. "Your father inherited everything when that old witch died. And since I'm his wife, it's my house now. So what's it going to be, Emma? Business school or the streets?" I looked at my father one last time, desperate for any sign of the man who once told me I could be anything I wanted. He drained his glass and turned away. With trembling hands, I pulled the acceptance letter from my pocket, the one I had received that very morning from the Florence Academy of Art, my dream school. The school Grandma Rose had always encouraged me to attend. I held it up, then slowly tore it in half. Diana's triumphant smile froze as I started walking toward the grand staircase. "Where do you think you're going?" she demanded. "To pack my bag," I replied, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. "I choose the streets." "You're bluffing, Emma. You've never worked a day in your life. You won't last a week." 20 minutes later, I stood at the mansion's ornate front doors with nothing but a backpack, some clothes, my sketchbooks, and the small wooden box Grandma Rose had given me before she died, making me promise not to open it until I truly needed it. "I guess you really are as stupid as your grandmother," Diana sneered from the doorway. "Don't come crawling back when reality hits." As the heavy doors slammed behind me, I heard my father's voice for the first time that night. "Diana, maybe we should." "Shut up, Charles," she snapped. "I knew what I was doing when I married you. That brat was the only thing standing between us and everything your mother left. Good riddance." I walked down the long driveway, past the manicured gardens Grandma Rose had loved. At the gates, I turned back one last time to look at Bolton Manor, the only home I had ever known. The wooden box in my bag seemed to grow heavier with each step. What I didn't know then was that Grandma Rose had left me far more than just a box of memories. And in exactly 2 years, Diana would learn just how much her perfect plan was about to backfire. The first 6 months were exactly as hard as Diana predicted. I couch-surfed between friends' homes until their parents began asking questions. I worked 3 jobs: barista in the morning, waitress during lunch, night clerk at a hotel. My hands shook constantly from exhaustion, making it nearly impossible to draw. One rainy night, sitting in my tiny rented room above a laundromat, I finally opened Grandma Rose's box. My hands trembled as I lifted the lid, expecting photos or old jewelry. Instead, I found a letter, and a small golden key. "My dearest Emma," the letter began, written in Grandma's elegant script. "If you're reading this, then things have happened just as I feared. Diana never fooled me. I saw through her the moment your father brought her home. A woman who measures life in dollar signs will never understand the value of a dream." Tears blurred the ink as I read on. "But I made preparations, my darling girl. The key enclosed opens safety deposit box 247 at First Metropolitan Bank. Everything you need is there. And Emma, remember what I always told you. Sometimes life's greatest masterpieces take time to reveal themselves. All my love, Grandma Rose." The next morning I walked into First Metropolitan Bank clutching the golden key. The manager's eyes widened. "Miss Bolton," he said. "We've been expecting you." Inside the safety deposit box was another letter, this one from Grandma's lawyer, Mr. Callahan, along with dozens of legal documents, property deeds and stock certificates. Apparently, Grandma Rose had been far cleverer than anyone realized. While everyone believed she had left everything to my father, she had secretly transferred most of her assets into a trust, in my name. A trust that would mature on my 20th birthday. The mansion. The estate grounds. Controlling shares in Bolton Industries. Even her personal art collection worth millions. All of it was mine in just 18 months. Mr. Callahan explained softly, "Your grandmother was very explicit. She saw how Diana was influencing your father and wanted to protect you, and the family legacy. The trust is ironclad." "Does my father know?" I asked. "No one does," he said. "That was the point. She wanted you to have time to grow, to find your own path without interference." He slid another envelope across the table. "This was meant for you today." Inside was a paid tuition letter from the Florence Academy of Art, along with living arrangements and a stipend in Italy, handled entirely through the trust. "Your grandmother believed in your dreams, Miss Bolton," Mr. Callahan smiled. "She just wanted to ensure you could pursue them on your own terms." That night I booked a flight to Florence. As the plane lifted into the clouds, I thought of Diana and my father, sitting smugly in their mansion, completely unaware that their empire had already slipped through their fingers. The next year and a half transformed me. I studied art in Florence, found my voice and built strength I never knew I had. Grandma's trust manager also taught me business, preparing me to take back Bolton Industries. By the time I turned 20, I was no longer the frightened girl who had left in tears. My hair was shorter, my posture straighter. I wore confidence like armor. 1 week before my birthday, Mr. Callahan emailed me. "The papers are ready, Miss Bolton. Shall we proceed with the eviction notice?" For the first time in 2 years I smiled. "Yes," I replied. "It's time to go home." On the morning of my 20th birthday, I stood before Bolton Manor, wearing a tailored black suit that radiated quiet power. Mr. Callahan stood beside me. I wasn't the scared teenager they had cast out. I was the rightful heir. And this time, I wasn't leaving. Briefcase in hand, I walked toward the mansion. The eviction notice had been delivered yesterday. They were expecting someone, but not me. The front doors burst open. Diana stormed out, her designer heels clicking furiously against the marble steps, a stack of papers waving in her hand. "This is ridiculous. Some trust can't just..." She stopped dead when her eyes landed on me. The color drained from her face. "You..." "Hello, Diana." My voice was calm, steady. "Like what I've done with my hair? You're behind this?" Her voice cracked as she looked at the papers, then back at me. "This is impossible. Charles inherited everything." "Actually," Mr. Callahan stepped forward, his tone sharp, "Mrs. Bolton only allowed you to believe that. The majority of the estate was placed in a trust for Emma years ago, a trust that matured today." "Charles!" Diana screamed toward the doorway. "Charles, get out here." My father appeared, looking older and weaker than I remembered. When his eyes found me, he froze. "Emma," he whispered, stumbling down the steps. You look so much like your grandmother." "Shut up about that old witch," Diana snapped. "Call our lawyers. She can't do this." "Actually," I pulled out my own stack of papers. "I can." The mansion, the grounds, controlling shares in Bolton Industries. Grandma Rose left them all to me. And my first act as majority shareholder was to order a company audit. I smiled coldly at Diana. Fascinating reading. Especially the part where personal expenses were charged to company accounts. The board found that very interesting. Diana's face turned from white to green. My father swayed on his feet. "You have until tomorrow to vacate the premises," Mr. Callahan said firmly. "The company's security team will arrive at 9 a.m. to escort you out and supervise the removal of your personal belongings. Only your personal belongings." He emphasized the last words while staring directly at Diana. "The art collection stays." "You can't do this," Diana whispered, her voice suddenly fragile. "We're family." "Family." I laughed softly. "Family doesn't throw their child out on the streets. Family doesn't stand by in silence while their daughter is humiliated. You taught me exactly what family isn't, Diana. Consider this the last lesson you'll ever give me. I turned to my father. Do you have anything to say? He looked at me, then at Diana, then back again. For a fleeting moment I saw a flicker of the man he used to be. The father who once told me I could be anything I wanted. But then, like 2 years ago, he turned away. That's what I thought. I nodded to Mr. Callahan. Make sure they only take what's theirs. Then glancing at Diana I added, oh, and the crystal vase you threw at me, the one that nearly hit my head? I expect that replaced. As I walked back to my car, Diana's furious screams echoed across the estate. But they no longer frightened me. I had one more stop to make, Grandma Rose's grave. I carried her favorite roses and my latest sketches to show her. After all, she was the one who taught me that the greatest art often comes from pain, and the greatest revenge is to live well. 1 year later, I stood in the newly renovated East Wing of Bolton Manor, now transformed into the Rose Bolton Art Gallery. Light poured through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating paintings both old and new, works from Grandma's collection, pieces from emerging artists I had discovered in Florence, and even a few of my own. The opening gala was in full swing. Board members mingled with art critics while students from the new Bolton Arts Fellowship program, funded directly from company profits, showcased their work. Miss Bolton. My assistant Sarah appeared at my side. Your father is here. I turned. He stood at the entrance looking smaller than I remembered but sober. After the eviction, Diana had divorced him when she realized there was nothing left to take. Rumor said she was chasing another wealthy widower in Palm Beach. Let him in, I said softly. He walked slowly through the gallery, pausing at each painting until he reached the centerpiece. My newest work, a portrait of Grandma Rose in her garden surrounded by her beloved roses. You captured her perfectly, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Emma, I don't. I raised a hand. If you're here to apologize, don't. 2 years of silence can't be erased with a single word. I know. He nodded. I don't deserve forgiveness. But your grandmother, she always said you had her heart. Her ability to see beauty in broken things. He pulled a folded, worn piece of paper from his jacket. My breath caught. It was a childish crayon drawing I had made at 6 years old. Him, me, and Grandma in the garden. Across the top he had written "My little artist." I was a coward, he said. I let Diana poison everything because I was afraid of being alone. But you're stronger than I ever was. I looked at the paper, remembering the father who used to proudly hang my art in his office before Diana threw it all away. The fellowship program, I said finally. We need someone to mentor the business students. Teach them how to balance creativity with commerce. The position is yours, if you want it. Part-time. And you'll report to the board, not to me. His eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Emma. Don't thank me yet, I said quietly. You'll have to earn back trust. Mine and the company's. It won't be easy. I understand. As he walked away, I turned back to Grandma's portrait. The gallery lights glowed against the gold nameplate. Rose Bolton, the woman who taught me to paint my own future. Mr. Callahan appeared beside me, smiling. Your grandmother would be proud. Not just of the gallery, but of how you've turned the company around. Profits are up 40% since you took over. I nodded. Because I remembered what she always said. Business, like art, is about seeing the full picture. I handed him a folder. Here. The paperwork for the Rose Bolton Arts Foundation. Scholarships for young artists who need support, like a certain girl once did. My fingers brushed the crystal necklace I wore, made from the shattered vase Diana once hurled at me. Broken but remade into something beautiful. Exactly, I whispered. Sometimes the most broken pieces make the most beautiful art. Later that night, after the guests had gone, I sat in Grandma's garden with my sketchbook. The roses she planted bloomed again, filling the air with their fragrance. In the distance, lights glowed warmly from the gallery, while in my father's office, a lamp still burned as he worked on the fellowship program. On my lap lay a new letter, sealed and ready to be placed in a safety deposit box of my own. Dear future artist, it began. Sometimes life's greatest masterpieces take time to reveal themselves. Just as Grandma Rose had taught me, true legacy isn't only what we inherit. It's what we choose to pass on.